and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to talk with the Communications and Marketing Department from another city division, which is the schools. Welcome. This is Diana Gulotta.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
It's good to have you here. And it's interesting, I think, because you're brand new. You're new to your job. You're new to the City of Hampton. And you've had this whirlwind tour experience of Hampton City Schools. So I'm hoping you can tell us what you've seen of Hampton City Schools, that sort of 500,000 feet view that the rest of us, don't ever see because we're in it day to day.
Well, being new, I do have a different perspective, which I'm hoping will help me do a better job in pushing the good news out about Hampton City Schools. But I've been impressed very much by what I've seen in the city of Hampton as well as in Hampton City Schools. Specifically, I've been impressed with, first off, the amount of technology is just astounding to me. A Promethean board in almost every classroom. And for those who don't know what a Promethean board is,
it's a really fancy blackboard.
Yes, it's just like a blackboard on steroids. It's a whiteboard that actually is connected to a computer, and what's neat about it is that students can walk up to the whiteboard and manipulate images on the whiteboard. And I've been in classrooms where I've seen pre-K students walking up to the whiteboard and manipulating images. There's no fear for our students these days. They don't fear technology like maybe some of us have done in the past, and they just embrace it. And so I've been very impressed with the level of technology, and that extends to just the laptop or even the mobile devices that I'm seeing from classroom to classroom. In the district that I came from, we had some Promethean boards, but then to get more, the PTAs had to do fundraising. So I've been very impressed with that, and it seems that the city has been very supportive of the schools in terms of that technology effort. We have the one-to-one initiative coming up in a pilot fashion this next semester, where we're going to put a device in the hands of each 5th and 7th grade student.
Now, what is that? Explain to folks, because I think, some of us who went to school before computers have a hard time understanding why kids today need that.
Well, we can continue to teach the way we've been teaching for the last 200 years, or we can look at what types of things engage students. And it's not a surprise to anybody that technology is what engages students. Many kids, by the time they're in 4th or 5th grade, already have a cell phone, and part of that's mom and dad, wanting to know where they are, but they're texting and on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and that's what excites kids, the technology. And so as educators, we've got to find the tools to use to stimulate students' interest and get them excited about school. And so we're doing that through technology. And I think you will see that when you go into a classroom and there is technology present, that even if the students are working in centers or doing different activities, they're all very engaged. And so it's really education coming around to the ways that students want to learn and the way they are engaged. And it's changed so much in the past 20 years, 10 years, 5 years in terms of technology. And I think it's just really us trying to use the tools that helps engage them. And people know, everyone knows that if you're engaged, you're learning more. And that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I think it is that interactivity, that the technology, it's not just a one way where the teacher tells you something and you're supposed to listen. It's hard to get kids in that, and they expect to be able to give feedback or to test answers or to go in the direction that they want to go from there. And
absolutely.
It works with that.
Well, and you mentioned the word feedback, and one thing that one feature of the Promethean board does is it has this sort of remote control feature where each of the students can have a clicker and say a question is presented on the Promethean board, and it's multiple choice. And so everyone can push, A, B, C, or D. And if a student gets it wrong, or say a big percentage of the class gets that answer wrong, then it immediately provides feedback to the teacher about, okay, perhaps I need to go back and relook at this objective or this whatever they're learning at that time and reteach some of that. So that's a neat piece of the technology as well.
So that's good. And then the one-to-one technology, I think, again, this is also something that people don't understand. a lot of people who don't use the technology on a day-to-day basis think that an iPad or any sort of a smart device is a toy. But in the schools, they're not playing video games on it. It is their textbooks. It is,
absolutely.
What kinds of educational programs does it bring to kids?
Absolutely. And it was funny because this morning my son's backpack strap broke with all the books in it.
Oh my gosh, I know. They're like this.
And if you think about it, an iPad, how many books can you download on a small, simple device? And so, it just really brings the world of information right to your fingertips in just one little place. And so they won't be a toy. I can reassure folks that it will be a tool for learning, and it just brings so much more information and so many more resources right there, right at the fingertips of our students.
Well, it is, and I know not every student will have Wi-Fi at home, but they can download things at school or go to the library and use the free Wi-Fi, and it just extends their access to information incredibly. And right now, you have a certain percentage of your students who have that at home because their family has more resources. But you have another group that maybe starts out even at a disadvantage that stays at a disadvantage throughout their educational career if they don't have the same tools.
Absolutely. And if you look at the research around mobile devices, even students who come from a free and reduced or who are on free and reduced lunch, their parents many times still have a mobile device. And so that's something that we've looked at is I think we make a lot of assumptions about if students are considered lower income, that they don't have internet access at home or they don't have a cell phone. And if you look at some of the research, that's not always the case.
Right. People give up the house phone. They don't give up the cell phone. And they need, if you're job hunting or, communicating with any sort of, you need email. You need a phone.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I interrupted you. What else have you seen in the school since you've been here?
Oh, it's okay. I could go on all day. I like the choices that parents have. We have everything from magnet schools to gifted education to International Baccalaureate, which is a program in Hampton that is kindergarten through 12th grade.
That's really, see, when you're in Hampton and you've had these things, you forget that is truly unusual.
And so, starting at kindergarten at Burbank Elementary School and then moving into the middle school program at Lindsay, and then of course the college prep type program at Hampton High School, that is very, to me it's very unique and it's very impressive to me as not only an employee and a resident, but as a parent. The different academies, the academic academies that we are working into our high schools, Bethel, the Governor's Health Sciences Academy. I was talking to someone yesterday who said that 1 in 4 jobs on the peninsula is healthcare related. And so these academies are really trying to make education locally relevant. And so I think that is very impressive. Next year we will begin an aerospace and information technology academy at Hampton High School.
Oh, that's new. I hadn't even heard that.
Yes,
that's
it's brand
great.
New. We're still working that out, but obviously aerospace is very
well, and that ties in with the National Aeronautics Institute. I always get the name wrong, but the NIA and Langley and all of those other local resources that we have.
Absolutely, and then we have architecture at Kecoughtan and the engineering piece at Phoebus High School with robotics and that whole engineering career field. So to me, that has been very impressive. As a parent and as a resident moving in. And then just we have the fundamental school, so there's a lot of choice. And in the districts I'm accustomed to, you simply attended school where you lived, and there wasn't some of these choice programs. And so I think what's neat about Hampton City Schools is just depending on who you are, we can find a place for you. And I think that goes back to every student, whatever it takes, and our vision is to really try to meet the needs of each student. And I think the programming that we offer is doing that as well. And of course, I can't ignore the nice people. I mean, people in the South are very friendly, and I've gotten a lot of hugs, and people have been very welcoming and welcoming within the school district, the city. I think that's been very nice as well. So I appreciate that. It just feels, like I belong here. here,
Oh,
and that's very
great.
nice.
So you came from, why don't you tell the folks where you're from?
Sure. Well, I'm originally from St. Louis and was born there, but actually started my school PR career down in Texas, in McKinney, Texas, which is north of Dallas, and spent 13 years there. It was a very fast growth area, second fastest growing city in the country.
And how did you end up focusing in on school community relations and public relations?
It was kind of by accident, actually.
Oh, really?
When I graduated from college in East Texas, Stephen F. Austin State University, I had a radio, TV, journalism degree, and I got a job in a small newspaper in McKinney, Texas, covering education. So I covered the McKinney Independent School District and then a lot of rural school districts around there, and I really enjoyed it. And I kind of got to the point where I didn't know if I was really going to stay in reporting, but I still.
So you got there earlier than I did.
Yeah. I just, I liked the feature writing. I liked the really good news stories, going more in depth with my writing, which you can't always really do that when you're a reporter. Sometimes one day it'll be a fire you're covering, and another day it's something else. And so the job opened up, a public information specialist job opened up in McKinney Independent School District. What was neat about it was kind of a new job, and it was an opportunity for me at a very young age, 22, 23, to go into that and really just grow with the job. And so at that time they had 5,000 students, and when I left, I want to say it was closer to 20,000 students.
Wow, that's a big growth.
Right, and so I was able to build the department. We went through a lot of redistricting. We passed 3 different bond issues for new schools, and so it gave me some really good experience. So I was there 13 years, and then a position in St. Louis opened up, and I have, I still do, quite a few relatives in St. Louis, and it was a different kind of position because instead of building a department from the ground up, is actually going into an existing department and making some changes and doing some things differently. So that was the Hazelwood in the Hazelwood School District, right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. So I was there the last 8 years, and interestingly enough, a year ago, my husband and I vacationed in Virginia. We were in Lexington and just fell in love with it, and we really didn't want to go home. We loved Virginia so much. And it was kind of by accident that we ended up in Virginia because my son was in hockey camp in Miami, Ohio. And literally, I looked at a map and said, okay, where can we drop him off and get to somewhere, not too far away? And so it ended up being Lexington, and we spent about a week there, fell in love with Virginia. And at that time, my husband said, if you ever have an opportunity to take a job in Virginia, I think we should do it. And so a year later, the Hampton City Schools job opened up, and I looked at it and came in and interviewed and met a lot of the staff really during the interview and just fell in love with the group, loved the philosophy. The district really isn't that different in terms of size or demographics from Hazelwood. It's very similar, but like I said earlier, the technology is very impressive, and the people, and just there's a real commitment to students here, which I was very impressed with. And so I came and applied, and here I am. So it's been kind of a wild ride, but and I didn't think a year ago anything would ever open up is wonderful.
Oh, right.
Your
predecessor was here for quite a while. It's not a job that sees a lot of turnover for the most part.
Absolutely. So it was, kind of the planets aligning a certain way to get us here. And so it's been great. It's been really
wonderful.
Good.
So I'm going to ask, did you put your money where your mouth is? Are your kids in the Hampton City Schools?
Absolutely. One of them is, and the other one isn't yet, just because he's still in Missouri. So my oldest one is at Kecoughtan. He's in 10th grade. And my youngest one, depending on if we stay in the rental area that we're in, we'll go to Sims Middle School. But he's still in Missouri with my husband, who's trying to sell a house. So
it takes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully, when everyone gets here, of course, they'll both be in Hampton City Schools. But yes, my oldest is doing very well. I've been very impressed with the school system as a parent, and so I'm convinced that's going to continue, and I'm excited about bringing my youngest one here as soon as possible.
That's good, and it's important to see, it changes your perspective when you see what you're covering as a parent or as someone who lives there. I think you get a different, sometimes you get the same picture, but it broadens what you're able to say and do and sell.
Absolutely. And for every job, every district that I work for, my children were in every single one of those. That's a very strong belief of mine. And I think that it brings a different perspective because as PR people, as communications people, we have to think like a patron, think like a parent. And so there are things that I'll get and I'll think, maybe we could have publicized that differently or communicated that differently. And so I think it's really good to have that perspective, and I've brought that to the jobs that I've had in the past, and I am bringing that here. And I think, the people that I work with, they appreciate that piece because it's just really about making us better and making sure that we do a really good job with our communication. And so I think it's a really important perspective to bring.
So what do you think your biggest challenge is?
Well, I think a part of it is just being not from here, just learning where everything is and who everybody is. I have a great staff of people and getting to know them and knowing their strengths better and encouraging them to do great work, which they are doing, and getting out and meeting all the principals. We have several schools, and so that's been a task. I've gotten to most of the schools, but I'm not completely there yet. So really getting to know the people and getting to know the area has been a challenge for me. And then I think just a challenge for Hampton City Schools is just continuing to improve upon the ways that we push out good news, because one of the things I found is that, I think people who are here in the schools, who live in Hampton, who know Hampton City Schools are, for the most part, satisfied and happy with the school system, but there's still kind of this perception out there that we're not as great as we really are. And so pushing some of those good news stories out there in multiple ways, and we've been doing that. We have a great show on our cable channel, School Notes, and that television crew does an excellent job with that, and that's just featuring positive stories at each of our schools. We've added an email newsletter, Email Extra, where we're trying to push out good news, and we've started a good news initiative, which is a minimum of 6 positive stories per week posted on our website, pushed out through Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of different places. So we're hoping to overcome that challenge because I know in my heart that Hampton City Schools is great, but we just need to share that with the world and let everyone else know that. So I think changing those perceptions is going to be a challenge for us, and I'm up to it.
Well, that's good, and I look forward to working with you as you do that, because I think your built-in audience is parents, and it's easy to communicate with them, but some of the taxpayers who help fund the schools and need to understand what they're getting for their tax dollar may not be in that pipeline, so we can share information on this channel and others with those folks.
Absolutely. I look forward to working with the city. It's been a great relationship so far, and I just think the collaboration, it really can improve upon the communication and PR, and I'm looking forward to that.
It makes us all better when we can share resources and assets and work together.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming.
You are welcome.
And thank you for watching. I hope you've had a chance to learn a little bit more about Hampton City Schools and meet one of the new staffers, and hopefully you'll be hearing more. Thank you.